on to the first question, and then we'll just kind of go around and speak our minds and see what everybody has to say. The first question is, what are some of your favorite Asian American traditions?
I think one of my favorite Asian American traditions is when we all come together on Chinese New Year, and we have authentic Chinese food, or we cook together, and then we take the food and we pray to our grandma on her. We pray to her ashes and her picture, and we kind of like eat with her, and I think that's my favorite tradition because it's a lot of bonding.
Yes, I love that one too.
So I was gonna say also Chinese New Year for me too, because it's not the normal same time as American New Year's too, and that kind of makes it unique. And also the fact that we all get to kind of come together, like how BJ said, and all eat food together and kind of bond that way.
So one of my favorite Asian traditions also takes place on Chinese New Year. So me and my mom go to the Chinese New Year parade in San Francisco, and not only do we get to watch the parade, but we're allowed to be a part of the float itself, and it's just really awesome to be able to see all the happy people there. And then afterwards, me and my mom and the past queens and princesses get to go to dinner right after the parade at some local restaurant, and we have so much fun there, and it's just an awesome, friendly environment, and I learned so many new things and get to hear from all the past queens' experiences.
That's an awesome experience. Okay, Takara?
My favorite Asian tradition is Japanese New Year, because we visit our family and we go to the temple and we pray to our ancestors, and all kids we get little money packages, which is personally it's my favorite part because who doesn't want money. And then at the end we eat soba, and it represents good luck for the rest of the year.
That's definitely one of my favorites too. I think, but my favorite tradition, I don't know if I guess it's a tradition, but whenever we go and visit Hawaii, me and my family always go and visit our ancestors' graves, and pay our respects. And because I didn't get to meet them, of course, my dad always tells stories about them and kind of talks about their lives and how much they affected him. And I think it's just really beautiful that in this culture, everybody goes and pays so much respect to the elders. Okay, the next question is, what makes you most proud of your heritage? BJ, do you want to go first again?
One thing that really makes me proud of my heritage is the Asian culture, not only Chinese heritage, but the whole entire Asian culture. It's very giving, loving, opening, accepting, and I feel like they'll just love you for whatever you choose to do or whatever you want to be. I know it's very stereotypical to say that, when you're Chinese, your parents are going to want you to be a doctor or something like that. But believe it or not, our times have changed now, and now I feel like we're more supporting of what the person wants to be.
Yes, definitely. Daniel?
The thing that makes me most proud about the Asian culture is probably the way we support family, and it feels like the Asian community is it kind of prioritizes taking care of each other and other people in your family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I agree with that. I'm also extremely proud to be Chinese because, at least Chinese culture is over 4,000 years old, and we've invented many different things, and without these inventions, the world would not be where it is today. So some of the things that we've created are compasses, paper, printing, and gunpowder, and my most favorite is noodles.
I agree.
What makes me proud of my Asian heritage is I love the history and the food and the traditions and how loving and giving and how we can tough through things that might be hard for us, but we can like get through it together.
Yeah, 100%. I think mine is pretty similar to your guys's. That, oh, I'm proud of how welcoming and open our culture is, and how there's always enough room and space and food for another person, and they never like turn down another guest. What is the biggest misconceptions about Asian Americans?
I feel the biggest misconception is stereotypes toward being a nerd, or I feel like there's so many stereotypes toward Asian people. One thing that is huge is like I said, always being the nerd, the smartest kid in the room, the brainiac. That's the biggest one. Knowing karate or kung fu, and a lot of the time, I feel like, especially now that we see people like Jeremy Lin or Yao Ming being professional basketball players, a big one was that I felt was, if you're Asian, you're not going to be athletic. And being half white and half Asian, that's like both two things that were stereotyped to not be athletic. And so I feel like now that we see athletes like that, it's breaking through the stereotypes that we traditionally get for Asians.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, Daniel?
I feel like one of the things we're like really misunderstood for, like BJ said, like people think we're like nerdy or like even like bad driving. It's just like, I don't know, we just get kind of like thrown under like kind of like a clumsy side or like a clumsy person. But I feel like that's like really misunderstood.
Okay, so I think the biggest misconception is that we're all alike. So a lot of people do think that Asians are smarter than everyone else, or sometimes they mix up that like someone's Chinese or Japanese or something like that, and they just mix it up and it's annoying. Also, I think that everyone's individual and that we all have individual stories and heritages and cultures, so yeah.
I think the biggest misconception about Asians is about how smart people are, and like they think that all Asians are smarter than all Americans or like other races, which is not. It's not all the way. It's not true. It's not all the way. It's not true, but I mean, it's a really bad misconception because it might be hurtful to like another person or like something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Athena, and I think that's a really big misconception that all like Asians are the same, and that even though it's one big culture, there's a bunch of different divisions of it, and so people will kind of just mix it all up and just agree that all Asians are the same and that they all look the same, and yeah. What do you think of the Asian American representation in entertainment, sports, fashion, and politics? And can you name one person in each?
So I think it's really motivational. Like I said last time, that to have people who are popular now and be Asian is breaking through traditional stereotypes. So for sports, Jeremy Lin and Yao Ming. For politics, Andrew Yang, Kamala Harris. And then was the third one fashion?
Yeah, the third one was fashion and entertainment.
Oh, for entertainment, like we did Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's the biggest one. Jason Momoa. And for fashion, I have absolutely no idea.
That was a good answer. Okay, Daniel?
I think it's really inspiring to see Asian Americans be really famous in the entertainment, sports, and in politics. And it kind of gives us all hope to do something big in our lives. And for sports, the three people I can name off the top of my head are like Jalen Green, Jeremy Lin, Yao Ming. For politics, probably Kamala Harris, and for entertainment, Bruno Mars.
Perfect. Dina?
Okay, so from my mother's experience in Hollywood during the 1990s, there weren't a lot of Asian Americans in the business, or there weren't a lot of Asian American roles, especially that were big ones, but I think things have changed. So, for example, the movie Crazy Rich Asians, the whole cast was Asian, which was really incredible, and it showed a lot of people that Asians can play big roles, and it was really inspiring, to me especially. So for entertainment, Aquafina. For politics, Kamala Harris. Sports, Tiger Woods. And fashion, Vera Wang.
Perfect. Okay, Takara?
I think that it's a step up from where we were like a couple years ago, and that it gives a lot of light, and maybe there in the future there'll be more Asian Americans that can do bigger things. And for entertainment, Aquafina. Sports, Naomi Osaka. Fashion, Kamora Lee. And politics, Kamala Harris.
I definitely agree with you guys. I think it is a big step up than how it used to be. And I think there's a lot more representation for Asian Americans than there used to be. So I'm really proud about that. And I think it really shows that there is a lot of opportunity for Asian Americans and that not all things stay the same. And I think for entertainment, the whole Crazy Rich Asians cast, politics, Kamala Harris. The next question is, your grandparents obviously grew up in a very different environment culturally. What is your favorite thing to do with them to bond? BJ?
I think my favorite thing to do with my grandpa to bond is a couple things. One, we taught him how to play Uno, so we do that after dinner every night. The second thing is I go fishing with him a lot. Especially when he comes and visits us in Hawaii. I like to go fishing along the shore with him, and it's just super fun. And the third thing is my grandpa, for I want to say the past 3 years now or so, he's done karaoke. And so whenever we go to our house, he puts like a disco ball in his pan and he turns it on, and he has a microphone, and he'll start singing, and my cousins will sing with him, and then I'll play uke or guitar or something to it. So it's just really fun to bond and to see him sing and just be so happy.
That's awesome. I love that. Daniel?
Probably the thing I like doing best with my grandpa is probably like just hearing his stories about his life and kind of like past experiences he had, just to like kind of learn more about him. And also I like to help him with his garden, help him harvest things, and then probably also, like BJ said, my grandpa likes to do karaoke, and sometimes my sister has like singing battles with him. It's kind of funny to watch, but yeah.
That's a great answer. Athena?
Okay, so I love to travel with them. I'm fortunate that they're not young, but they're not at the age where they can't travel anymore. So we've been able to travel throughout Europe and China together, which has been an awesome experience. But obviously due to COVID-19, we can't travel anymore. So lately we've just been doing lunches and dinners together, socially distanced.
Perfect, that's so sweet. Takara?
I love to travel with my grandparents and talk with them, and to like go fishing and go oyster digging and making food with them. It's really fun, and that's one of my favorite things to do with my grandparents.
I think my favorite thing to do is play the ukulele with him, because he's really talented at playing the ukulele. So I really like for him to teach me how to be as good as he is, and just listening to all his stories from when he was young, and him just showing me that all the cool stuff he's done in his life, and just really just talking and bonding that way, I think is my favorite. What do you admire most about your grandparents?
I think the thing I admire most about my grandparents is that they immigrated from China. Both my grandparents were put in a room for 3 hours, and they had to talk to each other, and it was like an arranged marriage, which apparently happened a lot in China because they wanted people who both had connections to America to be married so that they'd have the best chance at a successful life. And so they talk for 3 hours, they come out, they say that they can marry each other, and they immigrate from China with little money. My mom at that time was only 7, I believe, and they immigrated from China and they came to Sacramento, and now they live a very humble life. My grandma passed away from lung cancer when they worked in the Chinese restaurant. People smoked, but she really, really loved my grandpa, and she wanted him to find a partner, and now he's found a partner. So he lives a very, very humble life now.
That's sweet. Daniel?
Yeah, I would say this, that a thing I most admire about my grandparents is their come up, and that since they immigrated from China and they basically had nothing, that they were still able to be like motivated to still, start up their own restaurant and kind of like go from nothing to now my grandpa lives in a great house, and I guess they're 2 children, which now they both now live like successful lives. So I think that's really inspiring.
Athena, what do you think?
So I admire their curiosity about the world the most. They love to travel, and they travel 2 to 3 times internationally per year. And fun fact, they've actually traveled to almost every single major country except for India.
That's awesome. Okay, Takara?
The thing I admire most about my grandma is because she's so like enthusiastic, and her cooking is very, very it's really authentic, and I love it. And the thing I love about my grandpa is that he's very funny, and he likes to make jokes out of really things that you couldn't make a joke out of, and it works, which really surprises me. And that's when I love that about him.
I think what I admire most is his perseverance, because even though he's gone through a lot of rough times through their lives, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, they've had a lot of perseverance to keep going, and they've made very successful lives out of their lives. And I think also their skills and talent I'm really admired, because they've learned so much and they are really hard workers, so they have a lot of talents, and I just really admire that as well. Have you ever experienced being treated differently because of your race at school or in youth activities or sports?
Yeah, I've experienced some racism on my basketball team or at school. I feel like the biggest one that I think all of us are gonna say is when we were in elementary school, and people would make fun of us and squint their eyes and make shapes with their eyes and say that they were Chinese or Japanese or whatever. And there was one point I remember, or I asked my mom if my eyes looked weird. And now I'm just proud of it. I own it. If someone says that to me, I just say, well, at least mine are prettier than yours or something like that. And I feel like that's the biggest one. And then on my basketball team, I wouldn't get the ball, or I would be talked to differently and stuff like that just because of my appearance.
Yeah, I've experienced that as well. Daniel?
Definitely. I've definitely experienced it in sports before, being half Chinese, half Mexican. And growing up in almost all white town, it's I don't know, in my earlier years playing basketball, everyone on the team used to be mostly Caucasian and ran by Caucasian parents, and I felt like the way I was treated, it wasn't they would say it blatantly to my face, but I could tell I was definitely being discriminated, because they wouldn't allow me to do certain things that those kids got to do, and they would normally put me on lower teams, and it's I don't know, it wasn't really fair for me. And it's just kind of always been there. So I kind of had to find another way to show other people that I can play basketball, and I had to just have fun. I just keep on having fun, even though I was just wanting not to make like teams and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Athena?
So all the time. When I went to school in Pennsylvania, there were only 3 Asian kids in my entire grade and 5 Asian kids in the entire school. So it was really hard to fit in. So especially during recess, when we were on the playground, kids would do slanted eyes and taunt us and not play with us. And at the time, I didn't really understand it, but now I do, and it was just really hurtful and disrespectful. And we even went to the principal, and she kind of brushed it off, which was extremely disrespectful to me and my culture.
Yes, I have experienced being treated differently because I'm Black and I'm tall. Like at recess or in PE, I would pretty much always get chosen first for like basketball or like things that typically Black people would be good at, which it's not all the time. It's not true, but it's like, why would you do that? It's not. It's not right.
I think the most that I've experienced it is when I was younger, and like everybody said, the whole slanted eyes thing with your fingers, and pulling back your skin. And then I remember they even had like little rhymes in the end. They'd do that, and I remember thinking, I didn't really understand it because I was so young, but I remember going home and like wondering, and then thinking like, wait, what they were doing kind of looked like what my eyes looked like. And even though like I didn't fully understand it, I still knew that it was like not right. And I think also just like the little things people would say here and there, that even though it wasn't like super blatantly like discriminative, still like little things like people would say like, do you eat dog, or you think, like things like that, just because I'm Asian. And like, I don't know, just little things like that are super disrespectful. Next is, do you think there will ever be an Asian American president?
Yeah, 100% for sure. It's just a matter of when we'll get the president. I think as the respect for Asian Americans goes up, the likelihood of having an Asian president will go up as well. And I feel like right now at this time with the coronavirus, I think Kamala Harris is a big step in the right direction for her to be vice president. But I just think it's more of a matter of when instead of if it will happen, because with the coronavirus and major racism toward Asian people thinking they have thinking they have COVID, I just think even if they agreed with that person, they wouldn't vote for them just because of the state of the world. But I think it's a matter of when, and I think we will for sure at one point have an Asian American president.
Yeah, I agree. Daniel, what do you think?
I agree with BJ too. I think that it's just a matter of time now, and I think that Kamala Harris being selected as vice president is a really huge step in the right direction. And I think that, but one thing I do think is that I don't think the president will be like fully Asian. I think it'll probably be a mixed race, just like Kamala Harris. But I think that, just like BJ said, it's just a matter of time of when it will happen.
Definitely. Athena?
So I kind of have the same idea. I definitely do think there will be an Asian American president. Like in the past, we've had Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard run for president, which is already an incredible step forward for the Asian American people. So I think it just is a matter of time and when it's going to happen.
I agree with you guys when you guys say that, one, it's going to take a while, and two, that it's probably not going to be like full Asian. It's probably going to be a mixed race.
I also agree. I think it will take a little bit of time though for enough people to come around to the idea, because I still think it's really sad that there is still a lot of discrimination towards Asians. And But I think that at some point there 100% will be an Asian American president. It's just, like you guys said, a matter of time. How do you feel about having Kamala Harris, an Asian African American, as vice president?
Like I said, and I feel like we all said the same idea. Big step up, big step forward for the future and toward that right direction that we want to aim toward. She gives a lot of respect for Asian people and also a lot of hope to people like us who are Asian as well. And since there's never been any big Asian relation like what we've had at this time with Andrew Yang and Kamala Harris, I think that it gives a lot of people hope, and it honestly makes me really happy to know that we'll have the opinion of not only Asian people but also African American people involved in a huge part of the office.
Daniel?
I think it's great, and I think that with Kamala Harris being selected, it definitely takes a big step in the right direction. And also, I think that with her being selected as a vice president, it will also inspire like other Asian American like icons in the world to try to, step up, try to be president. So I think that it's really good for the country.
So I'm very proud to have an Asian African American vice president, and Kamala Harris is in such an important role. What I admire most about her is that she's mixed race and she represents so many different people and cultures.
I think that it is a very big step up, and it gives me a lot of hope that in the future there will be an Asian African American president, and that there will be more Asian African American vice presidents or Asian vice presidents, or just more. It just gives me a lot of hope.
Definitely. I agree with you guys, and I think it's really empowering, and it is a great step forward for our society. And I think what I really like is that also she's a mixed race, but also that she's a woman in such an important role. I think it'll give a voice to a lot of people, and it will also empower a lot of people to take a step forward as well. How does it make you feel to see and be a part of history? BJ?
I think it feels great. I feel like this is, the same general idea that Asian Americans slowly but surely are gaining some more respect. And even though COVID took a hit to that respect, I feel like it's still growing. And I forgot to say this for the last part, but I think one thing that we really have to look at is for Joe Biden to pick Kamala Harris to be his vice president, because Kamala Harris being biracial and Joe Biden not to be like that, I think that's a really big step forward in respect, and for him to be now the president and for everyone to see that and look up to him. The president is the biggest position for the United States, and so for everyone to see that and look up to that, I feel like I think more people are going to start following.
100%. Daniel, what do you think?
I think it's great to experience history, and I think it's a really big moment for all of us, and to look, and maybe in the next 10 years to look back and just tell kids about how we got to see the first big change in the White House, and I think that is great.
This makes me feel really inspired to realize that Asian Americans have more opportunities than ever, and it's incredible to see different barriers being broken down.
I agree with all of you guys when you say that it's a big opportunity to be a part of history, and that it's this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that we have experienced so much more than maybe probably not past, but maybe future generations will, and I think that it's very cool.
I agree with you guys. I'm really proud to be a part of this history, and I think that it will be a great story to tell our next generations. And I think that it's just really awesome to see all this change happening and hopefully change for the better going on around us. What is life like for you now during this age of COVID and shelter in place? BJ?
It's definitely very, very different. When COVID first hit and the school shut down, we decided, since we didn't have to like wake up as early, we decided that we would start a garden in our yard. And so over like the course of the 6-month quarantine period, we never left our house, and I'd wake up and I don't know, eat hash browns or whatever, and then I'd do my Zoom, and we go out into the yard and we start gardening. And I think I learned a lot of valuable things when I grew up. I built garden beds with my dad, and my mom and my sister learned to garden, and we got dirt, and I was filling up wheelbarrows all summer long and all throughout the quarantine period. And I think it was a great experience. We learned a ton of stuff. We learned gardening. I learned how to like use a saw and stuff like that. And I think it was also kind of a blessing in the sense that my dad had been going back and forth from California and Hawaii for the past 3 years to work, and COVID forced him to stay home. And now I look back and it's kind of like a blessing to be able to finally spend that quality time with him and catch up on the things I didn't learn beforehand.
Yeah. Daniel?
Is the question like how COVID impacted me?
Yeah, and like how it has changed your life.
Well, I think that COVID was almost like kind of like a blessing for me, because in my life, like I'm an athlete. I play basketball. That's like kind of the thing I do. And I don't know, before COVID hit, it was just like I kind of got a lot of hate before that. And I don't know, I had a lot of confidence like kind of leave me, because just it felt like people didn't believe in me anymore and stuff. And I don't know, my coaches kind of just gave up on me. But when COVID hit, it was kind of like a time to kind of refresh my mind and just kind of focus on myself. And I think that when we come back from COVID, I think I'll be in a lot better position. And I've learned that, you know, you have to, whenever you move up levels in life, like of difficulty, like for me, it was because I moved up, like in basketball, I went to go play harder competition. It's like I kind of learned that you have to keep on working harder, because whenever you're not working at something in life, someone's working in that time. So you just try to work hard as much as you can and try to take as many hours to work on what you love doing in life.
That was really insightful. Athena?
So when COVID first hit, it was really disorganized. The whole distance learning thing was new to everyone, and a lot of people were struggling with it. But after like a ton of time in lockdown and being able to think about yourself and what's important, I think I learned that I can really overcome a lot of different things because I'm living in a pandemic. Also, I'm thankful that I'm a horseback rider, and I'm thankful that horseback riding is classified as an outdoor sport, so I'm still able to do that, and it helps me really like clear my mind and everything like that.
COVID has made me realize that we have to cherish the moments, because you never know what will happen, and it's really scary, and you have to connect with your family and your friends, and you have to make memories that you won't ever forget, because you just have to remember that, because you never know what will happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think the COVID has had a lot of impact on all our lives, and I think in the beginning I was really sad, and I was sad we were gonna miss school and kind of miss out on our summer. But then I think I kind of changed to see the good in the bad and see the like light in the dark. And it gave me time to spend time with my family and learn more about myself and pick up like little talents and learn a couple little new things along the way. So I think even though it was really hard for all of us, I think there definitely was little pieces of good here and there. What will you remember most about this time?
I think looking back, I think obviously, like you said, we're witnessing history not only with the election but also with the coronavirus pandemic. My history teacher told me that in history there's the word story. So this is a story that we can tell to our kids, or a story that we can tell to what other people we end up meeting in the future, and that we can look back on this. And even though it was a very bad experience to see many lives being lost and being affected, I think that we can look back on this and look at it as a learning experience. I feel like we can be more prepared next time. Hopefully everyone can take this more seriously, and I just feel like it's more than anything, I feel like it was kind of a major learning experience and a story that we can tell for the future.
Definitely. Daniel?
I also think that was a big learning experience. I think I learned that, like, friends aren't like always going to be there, like, because it's not like they necessarily left me, but it's like since COVID hit, it kind of showed me that friends aren't always going to be there in life, but family will always be there to like support you through everything. And like whenever I was bored, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I just call a friend out of nowhere or like play video games with him or something like that. It's like more of like, oh yeah, I'll go talk to my mom, or I'll go outside with my dad, or I'll do something fun with my sister on social media or something like that. So I think I learned that family is your best friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Is the question what you're going to remember most, or what was the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you going to remember most?
Okay, so I think I'm going to remember most is that I think one of the biggest things is going to be distance learning, because that was just a huge thing for me. But I also think I'm going to remember all the happy times I had with my family, and realizing that I didn't really have much quality time with my family before. And that when I did spend time with my family, I realized that what Daniel said, family is a lot more important than.
I like during COVID, we had to do distance learning, and I don't like it at all. So when we came back to school, it was awesome. But during COVID, the thing I think I'll remember the most is not being able to see my friends, but getting to spend a lot, like so much time that I needed to spend with my mom and my dad. And it's just, I've learned to respect my mom and my dad a lot more than I used to, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think what I'll remember most is, of course, all the big events that happened and like the election and everything. But besides that, I'm gonna remember like the really fun and funny moments I had with my family, because they made it, even though we were going through such a hard time, they made it so much even like enjoyable, having like playing like board games or watching movies with them just became so much more meaningful to me and so much more fun. And I think I'll also remember like trying to stay connected to my friends, and like the 6-hour FaceTime calls we would do, and just the funny stuff like that here and there that I'll really remember.